Oeyvind and Marit, a story of Norway by Bjornson. I probably butchered that name, sorry. Oeyvind was his name. A low, rocky cliff overhung the house where he was born. Fir and birch trees looked down upon the roof, and the wild cherry strewed flowers over it. On this roof lived a little goat belonging to Oeyvind. It was kept there that it might not wander away, and Oeyvind carried leaves and grass up to it. One fine day, the goat leaped down and ran off to the cliff. It went straight up and soon stood where it had never been before. Oeyvind did not see the goat when he came out in the afternoon, and thought at once of the fox. He grew hot all over, looked round about, and called, "Here, goat! Here, goat! Here, goat!" "Bah!" answered the goat from the top of the hill, putting its head on one side and looking down. At the side of the goat there was kneeling a little girl. "Is this goat yours?" asked she. Oeyvind opened wide his mouth and eyes, thrust both hands into his breeches, and said, "Who are you?" "I am Marit, mother's little one, father's fiddle, the elf in the house, granddaughter to Ola Nordistuen of the Heidi farms, 4 years old in the autumn I am." "Is that who you are?" cried he, drawing a long breath, for he had not dared to take one while she was speaking. "Is this goat yours?" she asked again. "Yes," replied he. "I like it so very much. Will you not give it to me?" "No, indeed I will not." She lay flat on the ground, staring down at him, and soon she said, "But if I give you a twisted bun for the goat, may I have it then?" Oeyvind was the son of poor people. He had tasted twisted bun only once in his life. That was when grandfather came to his house, and he had never eaten anything so good before or since. He fixed his eyes on the girl. "Let me see the bun first," said he. She was not long in showing him a large twisted bun that she held in her hand. "Here it is," cried she, and tossed it to him. "Oh, it broke in pieces," said the boy, picking up every bit with the greatest care. He could not help tasting the very smallest morsel, and it was so good that he had to try another, till before he knew it, he had eaten up the whole bun. "Now the goat belongs to me," said the girl. The boy stopped with the last bit in his mouth. The girl lay there laughing, and the goat stood by her side, looking sideways down. "Could you not wait a while?" begged the boy, his heart beginning to beat fast. The girl laughed more than ever, and quickly got up on her knees. "No, the goat is mine," said she, and threw her arms about it. Then, loosening one of her garters, she fastened it around its neck. Oeyvind watched her. She rose to her feet and began to tug at the goat. It would not go along with her, and stretched its neck over the edge of the cliff toward Oeyvind. "Bah!" said the goat. Then the little girl took hold of its hair with one hand, pulled at the garter with the other, and said prettily, "Come now, goat, you shall go into the sitting room and eat from mother's dish." And off she went. There the boy stood. He had taken care of the goat ever since winter when it was born, and he had never dreamed that he could lose it. But now it was gone in a moment, and he would never see it again. His mother came up humming from the beach with some wooden pails she had been scouring. She saw the boy sitting on the grass with his legs crossed under him, crying, and she went to him. "What makes you cry?" "Oh, my goat, my goat." "Why, where is the goat?" answered the mother, looking up at the roof. "It will never come back any more," said the boy. Dear me, how can that be? Oeyvind would not tell what he had done at first. Has the fox carried it off? Oh, I wish it were the fox. Well, what has become of it? Cried the mother. Oh, 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 I happened to sell it for a twisted bun. As soon as he spoke, the boy understood what he had done to sell his pet goat for a bun. He had not thought about it before. The mother said, What do you suppose the goat thinks of you when you're willing to sell it for a twisted bun? The boy thought this over and felt perfectly sure that he could never be happy again. He was so sorry for what he had done that he promised himself he would never do anything wrong again, neither cut the cord of the spinning wheel, nor let the sheep loose, nor go down to the sea alone. He fell asleep and dreamed about his goat. Then something wet was thrust right against his ear, and he started up. Bah! He heard, and it was the goat that had returned to him. What, have you come back again? He sprang up, seized it by the 2 forelegs, and danced about with it as if it were a brother. He pulled it by the beard and was on the point of going into his mother with it, when he heard someone behind him and saw the little girl sitting on the grass. Now he understood why the goat had come back, and he let go of it. Is it you who has brought the goat? She sat tearing up the grass with her hands and said, I was not allowed to keep it. Grandfather is up there waiting. While the boy stood staring at her, a sharp voice from the road above called, Well? Then she remembered what she had been told to do. She rose, walked up to Oeyvind, thrust one of her dirt-covered hands into his, and turning her face away said, I beg your pardon. But then her courage was all gone. She flung her arms about the goat and burst into tears. I believe you had better keep the goat, stammered Oeyvind, looking the other way. Make haste now, called her grandfather from the hill. So Marit turned and walked slowly toward him. You have forgotten your garter, Oeyvind called after her. She turned and looked at him, and then she answered in a choked voice, You may keep it. He walked up to her, took her hand, and said, I thank you. Oh, it's nothing to thank for, she answered, but she still sobbed as she walked away. Oeyvind sat down on the grass again, the goat roaming about near him, but he was no longer as happy with it as before. The same summer his mother began to teach him to read. Then one day she said to him, Tomorrow's school begins again, and you are going. Oeyvind had heard that school was a place where boys played together, and he was greatly pleased. He walked faster than his mother up the hillside, so eager was he. When they came to the schoolhouse, a loud buzzing like that from the mill at home met them, and he asked his mother what it was. It is the children reading, answered she. On entering, they saw many children around a table. Others sat on their dinner pails along the wall. Some stood in groups around a large printed card covered with numbers. The schoolmaster, an old gray-haired man, sat on a stool by the chimney corner. They all looked up as Oeyvind and his mother came in, and the mill hum ceased as if the water had been suddenly turned off. The mother bowed to the schoolmaster, who returned her greeting. I have come here to bring a little boy who wants to learn to read, said the mother. What is his name? Asked the schoolmaster. Oeyvind. He knows his letters and he can spell. You don't say so, said the schoolmaster. Come here, little whitehead. Oeyvind went over to him. The schoolmaster took him on his lap and raised his cap. What a nice little boy, said he, and stroked his hair. Oeyvind looked up into his eyes and laughed. Is it me you're laughing at? Said the schoolmaster with a frown. Yes, it is, answered Oeyvind, and roared with laughter. At that the schoolmaster laughed. Oeyvind's mothers laughed. the children understood that they also might laugh, and so they all laughed together. When Oeyvind was to take his seat, all the scholars wished to make room for him. He, on his part, looked about for a long time. Then he spied near the hearthstone, close beside him, sitting on a little red-painted box, Marit with the many names. She had hidden her face behind both hands and sat peeping out at him. "I will sit here," cried Oeyvind at once, and seizing a lunchbox, he seated himself at her side. Now she raised the arm nearest him a little and peered at him from under her elbow. Forthwith he too covered his face with both hands and looked at her from under his elbow. Thus they sat, cutting capers, till the reading began again. The children read aloud, each from his book, little high voices piping up and lower voices drumming, while here and there one chimed in to be heard above all the rest. In his whole life, Oeyvind had never had such fun. "Is it always like this here?" he whispered to Marit. "Yes, always," said she. Later they too had to go forward to the schoolmaster to read. Then they were allowed to sit quietly down again. "I have a goat now myself," said Marit. "Have you?" cried Oeyvind, and that was the very best thing he learned on his first day of school.